Um, Good afternoon. Welcome back to the San Diego Bass Fishing Podcast. And today we have Jay Saberon, and we're going to be talking about some lakes and what he's been doing, kind of catch up with him. Um, and look at me, I'm all a little sun faded today. I just came home, like like I still have my stuff on. Um, I came in here. I've been out at El Cap all day. What is today here? Today is February 11th. And so I've been at El Cap, and it's good. It's changed a lot here in the last week. The There's a lot of small fish that moved up. Uh, I personally haven't landed anything extraordinary, but the fishing's good. A lot of bites. A lot of bites. And you can catch them several different ways. So hopefully soon coming. There's the ABA tournament coming up this weekend on Saturday. That'll be really interesting. Let's see here. That's about it. Let's go ahead and send this to Jay. So yeah, good. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm great.
All right.
All right. Well, I guess we'll just jump right into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
No sense in wasting any time. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the San Diego Bass Fishing Podcast. My name is Bruce Smith. I'm your host here. Jay Saberon's joining us today. First things first, please subscribe. I'm running a big trying to get a bunch of subscriptions in for the podcast. We're looking for 1,000 subscribers. Right now we're almost at 500. We're like 450, 460 something. So please go and subscribe. We're looking for 1,000 subscribers. So anyway, how are you doing, Jay?
I'm doing great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You go fishing today?
I didn't.
I just got when I text you, I just got off the lake. I just came in the house and I was like trying to get the coffee ready, and it's like, yeah, I've been out of Cap here the last couple days.
Yeah, I froze all day yesterday, so I just figured I'll take today off.
Yeah, it rained on us today.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, a little bit, not much, but it was enough to get everything wet. So, okay, what I'm really looking for today is like a discussion on those smaller bodies of water in and around San Diego.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think that would be a good thing, because I started making the list and I was like, wow, there's a lot. There's a lot of smaller lakes. Some of them still allow boats, but some of them don't.
Right.
Miramar every now and then is too low to launch. I'm going to include Hodges in this whole thing too, because
it's a little lake now.
It is. It's going to be for the next 8 years.
Right.
So we might as well just include it in this whole list of stuff. And I know that you are you're great at them. That's what you do, kind of. Is you fish these small lakes for giant fish.
Yeah, I like the little lakes. Easy to break down.
Yeah. So why do you think? Why do you think that there's a better chance of catching a bigger fish in these smaller bodies of water around San Diego?
I really don't know, dude. I think a lot of it's like, some lakes get the pressure, but some really don't. Like,
yeah,
just the trout fishing pressure, and that's really it.
For one thing, all of these smaller lakes, or at least most of the smaller lakes, they still stock trout.
Yeah.
And the lakes that I'm referring to, if you guys haven't figured this out, are Murray, Miramar, Poway, Cuyamaca, Wolford, Dixon, Jennings, and I'm going to include Hodges. Like I said, Hodges.
Yep.
That's a lot. That's a lot of lakes.
Yeah, there's a lot of lakes.
when you put it on a list, it's like, wow, yeah, there's a lot of choices there.
Yeah. I think some
So,
of them are better because like especially like the ones where you have to get a rental boat or it's like shore or rental boat. It's really hard to grind and spend time at those places because of the price point with the that you have to pay all this money. Like even Dixon, it used to be a little bit cheaper, but now it's $45 for a day for the little rental boat.
oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I used to always get a rental boat.
Yeah. So
If
it
we
makes
were
it
doing
hard if you want to like go every single day. You're like, wow, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, once a week.
Yeah. Especially you're gonna get a lot of skunks too, but
Right. Just being a part of the whole big fish game. You have to expect that.
yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, okay, let's just run through the list. Tell me about Murray. What do you like about Murray?
Murray, I don't know. It's a super easy lake. Like you either got tules or like chunk rock points or shorelines, there's really only one area where it's kind of muddy, but
Does Murray even have rental docks or rental boats?
yeah, Wednesday through Sunday they have rental boats.
Oh, okay. So they do have a little fleet there.
Yeah, they do.
And then you can launch a private boat there every day, right?
Yeah, every day.
So it's open 7 days a week.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
that's nice.
minus the one day a month they're closed, the second Tuesday, I believe it is. Yeah, second Tuesday.
Right. Um, what season do you find is your favorite for Murray?
Murray, it'd probably be a tie between like around now and fall.
Oh, okay.
Fall's pretty fun. The place bites in the fall.
Yeah. I
Especially,
didn't know that. I thought it was like a wintertime deal.
yeah. But it should be good pretty soon. I'm hoping. Hopefully we get like maybe after the storm or something. But
Yeah. It looked like well, I don't know. I think Andre was there this week. And he had a good picture for his
yeah,
clients. Yeah, he had 3 guys on the boat and looked like he caught a bunch, including a big one.
yeah. It
Pretty
seemed like
big.
the warmer weather on the weekend had them pretty fired up for sure.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I went yesterday and it was pretty dead.
Was it?
It felt very hungover yesterday. Even I don't have scope, but the guys with scope were even not really catching them.
Yeah. What would be a crowded day at Murray?
Like 5 boats.
Yeah.
5 boats.
5.
Depends what
Right
guys
on.
are doing. If everyone's on like on the shad bite, then it's crowded.
Right.
But like if they put a trout stock in there and guys kind of like you got your guys swim baiting and you got your guys fishing the shad stuff, you get a nice little even spread.
Yeah.
And it's a big enough lake too, where like if the tules get hammered, you can go beat up like 10 to 25 foot of water and still do pretty good. So there's a lot of options in that lake. Yeah.
Yeah. And it seems like it's one of those lakes where you can go and throw frogs in the tules, like at least in the summer.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And catch fish.
Oh yeah.
Even though it's small, there's a lot of stuff to do. And another thing about Murray is that the fish are big, like overall.
Right. Yeah. The average is nice. It's nice there, like 3 to 5 pounds or so, something like that.
Yeah.
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 There's
Yeah.
just so
I
much,
mean,
the amount of shad in that lake is like, there was always a little bit in there, but like what you see in there now it's incredible.
yeah. Is it?
Biomass like all over that place.
So okay. So I think this would be probably a good place to touch base with this, and that it would be your A rig. Your A rig is a little different than everybody else's. You're one of those guys that fishes a great big one.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. For the draw.
Yeah. So you're fishing one of those Bailey rigs, right?
Right.
I mean, it seems like, tournament guys or guys that want to get bites, they've all pared down and everything's all
Sure.
the A rigs are getting smaller. But you, on the other hand, are like throwing this great big umbrella.
Yeah, I kind of just have the same look. Like if I were to go out and throw a head, like I'm throwing it just to try to get a giant one.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So do you use big Kitex on there?
I tend to. Yeah.
At least, okay. Like, do you use them all the way around, or do you just use like big ones like on the hook baits?
I'll put the small 2.5s all around for the teasers, but then on
Oh, okay.
the big ones, I bounce around from 3.8 to 4.8.
Okay.
If I see a shad over 3 inches, I'll put on like a giant one, just because
Yeah.
there's probably bigger shad around.
Right.
But, yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering if you use those like 5.8s.
I haven't messed around with that big yet. 4.8 has been the biggest one so far on the
Okay.
ways.
Yeah. All right. Do you spend much time like jigging shad balls or ice jigs or anything like that?
Oh yeah, that's a blast. I love that. I love
Nice.
jigs, yeah.
Yeah,
Especially
when they're on them, man, it's good. It's fun.
seems like if I could go out and I have a rod with a ice jig and a flutter spoon on, like it's either one or the other pretty much every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they'll either run from one and I'll pick up the other and then drop it and they're just flying up to it. It's pretty cool. I love watching them on. I mean, I only got the 2D, but I love it. It's pretty satisfying when you see your little thing going down and they're just all whoop.
Yeah, they come up for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you
That
slap
is
you off.
exciting.
Like, hey.
So tell me about Miramar. Now, Miramar is someplace that you have caught some really big bass in. I mean, that's where your PB came from, isn't it?
Yeah, I caught my first bass there and my biggest one.
Yeah. And so how big is your biggest one again?
16 pounds, 4 ounces.
16.4. Yeah. And so Miramar, which is, I think it's about 150 acres, if I remember correctly. It has a few fishing docks, but it doesn't have any rental boats, does it?
They just reopened the concession again, like a
Oh, they
month.
did.
Yeah.
How was it closed for a while?
It was closed for like about a year. I think they were looking for new owners. I think it was up for bid all last year, and then someone finally took over.
Mm-hmm.
Because they bounced the rental boats back from Hodges and Miramar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I wonder. So, but they got rentals up at Hodges too, right? They didn't like take all the rentals and put them in Miramar.
Yeah. There's still some over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything about Miramar that's kind of specific? If I remember correctly, it's super clear.
It is. It seems like though after they did like this water transfer, or maybe they're still in the process of doing it after they installed that pipe, but it's a little dirtier.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And there's certain areas where it's clear, but like you go anywhere outside of like 8 feet of water and it's pretty stained.
Yeah, I remember going paddling around in my float tube, like back in the Escondido Arm or
Right.
whatever. There's like sunk boats, like rental boats.
Yeah, there's boats all over that lake all the time.
It's kind of trippy, You're like paddling around. It's like whoa. There's like a boat down there in the bottom.
Yeah, there's a lot of boats in there.
Right on. So do you spend much time up at Poway?
I used to a lot. Not so much anymore. There was a couple times in the last couple of years I went up there and there was just like every 50 feet there was someone throwing a swim bait. So I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. There's like a lot of local kids that go to that place and just chuck swim baits and target big bass and whatever.
And that's a hard lake as it is, and it makes sense if you're one of those locals that lives right by it and you can just hop over there every day.
Right.
And
give it a couple hours in the evening.
Yeah. It definitely rewards if you put the time in, but you have to put the time in. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of my buddies, he just caught a 9-pounder like last week over there, but I mean he's probably had like 20 bites over the last couple of years and he finally just hooked one now.
Over the last couple what months?
Like years, like seasons. Yeah.
Ow! Jesus.
Yeah, just like missing them, or you get a blow up on a top water or something, and just.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, if you keep going though, it happens.
Yeah. Right. Do you just chuck it? You just so do you like in say in Poway? I don't know. I mean, obviously there's going to be some juice spots and whatever, but
Sure.
are you just like chucking that freaking big old rubber trout out there and letting it sink to the bottom and just like crawling it back?
Well, that's why I always struggled at that lake, because that's my techniques are like I like to fish tight against structure and like parallel toolies and things like
Mm,
that, or drag on the bottom. And like
hmm
there's so much old catfish line in that lake that dragging the bottom is pretty sketchy.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the guys that catch fish there, it's either on a surface bait or they're fishing like subsurface, like super slow sink,
Oh,
just
okay.
out in the open in the middle of nowhere, just super random. It's just everything's very random there for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just come up. They see that thing. They just come up and
Yeah,
take
you
a
gotta
swipe at it.
you gotta fish light line and like a little tiny hook on that guy. And
Hmm
like you'll see guys throwing like a 12-inch bait with the tiniest treble hook they can get away with, just tucked right under the chin.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah.
It's no wonder they miss them. Like
Right.
you go 1 for 20.
They're so smart. It's so hard to get them to bite at that lake.
Yeah.
But they're
Yeah.
in there. That's the thing.
That is the thing. They have
Yeah.
giants
Yeah.
in Poway.
Yeah.
True giants.
Right.
Teeners, 13, 16 pounders, whatever. So well, we shouldn't lump the two of them together, but then we have Wolford and Dixon. Those are completely different lakes. They're kind of next to each other up in Escondido.
Yep.
But I mean they're completely different. One is super clear, and then one is like super dirty.
Yeah.
And they both stock trout. Escondido does a good job of stocking trout.
Yeah, they do. I don't know how they do it, but it's amazing.
I don't know either, because I know that the amount of people that go fishing at Wolford don't pay for those trout.
Right. Right.
I mean, trout are expensive. We used
Yeah.
to go. We used to. So my story between those two lakes is when I just trout fished up there, and we would go trout fishing in Dixon. In the good old days when you just catch and release those great big ones.
Yeah.
They started giving tickets out for catching and release.
Yeah, they
so we
don't like
moved.
that.
So we moved over to Wolford. I hope I'm not getting anybody in trouble up there. So we moved over to Wolford, and you could get away with it there better. I just can't see going up there and paying $45 for a rental boat and keeping 5 fish, and then what? You just go home,
Right. Yeah.
like
Like,
get
oh, day's
like
over.
yeah. I mean, when we were fly fishing, man, we were 15, 20, 30, 40 fish days. It was good. It was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't hurt them. We just freaking put them in a net, take a little midge out of their mouth and let them swim away. We never pulled them out of the water, but whatever. So anyway, how do you approach each lake differently, considering Dixon is like super clean, but Wolford's super dirty?
I mean, like Wolford, like you could go there and like say you were going there and throwing like a big trout bait, and you're like familiar with lakes like El Cap or something like that. Like you could go
Mhm.
with the same approach as you would beating the bank, and you definitely would get some bites.
Okay.
And then
All right.
like Dixon is like kind of like Poway. You could get those bites out in open water, which is kind of weird to me, which never works out for me, but works out for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I go there. I just parallel the toolies.
Oh yeah.
That's what I like to do. There's a couple high spots in that lake
That's
that they like to stack on. And
they're
if you
pretty. I know they're high spots, but they're pretty deep high spots.
yeah, but they can be pretty good for like dragging
I remember
worms, buds.
John Bell took me out there.
Yeah.
and we rented a boat and we went bass fishing. That was like the only time I went bass fishing in Dixon. And it was we were we were throwing Icas in like 30 feet of water.
Yep.
And they were biting, you know, they bite in there.
Yeah, that's the spot. I know exactly the spot. We all fished the same one.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of weird, kind of hard to find. especially with an Ica that sinks freaking a, a foot every 2 seconds or whatever.
I know.
It would take for
I wish you could bring a little 2D in there or something. That'd be cool.
there was guys that did that. I'm not gonna. I don't know. They would use they wouldn't use that suction cup. They would use like a wire hanger and just put the transducer on the hanger and they put it in their backpack.
Yeah.
And then just hang it over the side.
Smart. Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, it worked. It worked good for him. I mean, sure cut down on looking around and trying to triangulate a freaking high spot in the middle of the lake.
Yeah, especially if you do a couple laps in the shallows and you don't see fish, you just know, they're deeper.
Yeah,
but you don't know where to start.
Right. Yeah. So were you fishing when Dottie was around?
Yeah, I was fishing Miramar at that time.
Yeah, but you didn't. Did you ever go to Dixon and see her?
No. It was kind of too at that age. I didn't have a car at that age, and it was just kind of too far. Miramar was just super close.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I wish I could have seen that fish.
God, the pictures of her when she was full of eggs and whatever, she's so freaking shoot. She was. I don't even know how she swam around.
It's 3 pounds bigger than the world record currently. It's like,
isn't that something? 25 pounder.
It's incredible.
Yeah, really was. You ever hear the story of Larry Bottroff shocking a cove at Morena and having 3 over 20 surface?
No,
you never heard that story?
No.
Dude, I've heard it from several different people, but I've never heard it from Larry Bottroff. And I heard it was at Morena, and it was like in the 90s and early 90s or late 80s or whatever. And he was shocking, and he went into a cove and he turned the machine on, and 3 20-pounders floated. Like what?
What?
Yeah, that was in the good old days.
Man.
Yeah.
Only if we had the share lunker back then.
I know. What a shame. What a shame. So, okay. So, speaking of which, so speaking of which, speaking of Dixon, so do you fish spoons in Dixon? You mentioned fishing spoons earlier. You fish spoons in Dixon too?
I used to. They had a little time period where they had shad in there for whatever reason, but it literally lasted 1 year, and then you never saw it ever again. So
that was pretty incredible that year that there was all that shad that was getting pushed around.
Yeah, it was huge too, like 4-inch, like as big as the threadfin get. Like that's how big they were in there.
Yeah.
Like we just wanted to see if they would eat that giant Magnum spoon, that huge one, and dude, drop it down, and we started just catching them on that thing, and we're like, "There's no way."
No kidding. Wow. What spoon do you normally use? Like
I usually
nowadays.
The 4-inch Lake Fork.
Yeah, that's pretty standard.
Those ones. They're like $8.
Yeah,
can't beat it.
Yeah, and it gets bit.
Yeah, they flutter super good. They just have that, a nice. They stay sideways. Some of them just like to shoot down.
Yeah,
I don't really like that. I like when they just go down slow and flutter all the way down. Like that really gets them fired up.
Mm-hmm. I caught a couple fish on it at Otay earlier this year.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When they were on that big shad, the key is finding the bigger shad, and when you find that bigger shad and you see the schools around it, yeah, they eat it.
Yeah. Dixon was fun with that thing. Like we were catching fish up to 9 pounds pretty regularly. We couldn't break 10 though. That was like impossible. And you'd wind up your spoon if you didn't get bit, and you would have like 10 to 13 pounders chasing it all the way up to the surface. And you're just like,
Really?
yeah,
And
but they would
just
never commit. They would
and
never
they'd
commit.
never eat it, huh?
Never.
What a
No.
sight.
But you'd see their bellies going back down. You're just like,
what a sight, having a freaking 13-pounder chase a spoon up next to the side of the boat.
yeah, she'd have like 4 or 5 other fish with her, all over 8, and they're just flying up at your spoon. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
they just turn off of it, or like you fish that area all day and you never hook them still. So I don't know if there's just the reaction thing of it going straight up or not.
Yeah. Yeah. It's getting away from them. It's a cat and mouse. It's like yo-yo fishing for yellowtail.
Yeah, exactly. Except for they don't bite, yeah.
Except they don't bite. Maybe you're not winding fast enough.
Oh, maybe not. See how fast a 13 can go.
So, okay, well that brings us to Jennings.
Oh man!
And I know you've been spending a bunch of time there.
Oh yeah.
Is there a lot of sight fishing going on?
I mean, not right now. There's like little tiny areas where there's like a couple big ones up, but
yeah. No, I mean like overall, like a lot of the big fish that come out of Jennings and pictures that you see, are those sight fish?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Not all of them though. Not all of them. Like
right. No, I understand. Like especially you guys, I got to hand it to you. You guys that put your time in out there. I understand you're not sight fishing, or not all sight fishing all the time. A lot of the time you're just grinding.
Yeah,
grinding big baits.
Like last year I had a big one on a bed there, but I mean, trying to catch bedfish in the process of that, I still had like 30 missed swim bait bites.
Right.
You know, they would come up and they just bite the back. Like that water's so clear there. Those fish, when they want to see if it's real or not, they know exactly where to test it. Like,
so what does it take? Like, what kind of conditions? What are you looking for to get a bite at these super clear water trout fed lakes? Does it take what, weather, moon? What is it?
I think a lot of it's moon and weather, yeah. But like the most important thing is just going every time like that lake is open.
Yeah.
Like regardless of weather, regardless of anything, like the guys that have been rewarded there have spent at least 3 days a week. Sometimes they're open during like the spring break, so then that's a little like a free week you can grind.
Right. Oh, okay. So if everybody doesn't know, Jennings is only the whole lake. Jennings is only open 3 days a week.
Right. Friday,
Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
But the campground is open every day.
It is.
So you can come in through the campground, you drive across the dam, park in the campground, and then walk down.
Yeah. But now like the water's so high, like there's only a couple spots. Like it's really hard to access all the spots. Like it's more of like a hiking trip now.
Oh yeah. It's
a lot of work. I've done it a couple times, and I kind of gave up on the shore fishing on the closed days.
Yeah. I've hiked over to like Hermit's Cove and whatever from the campground. It's a little bit of a hike. It is a little bit of a hike.
Yeah.
I don't think you're supposed to do that though. I never got kicked out, but no, I don't think anybody ever saw me either.
They said if you could walk it, you could fish it. So I don't know.
No kidding?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's probably just up to you if you want, how tired you want to be or how far you want to go.
Yeah. I was trout fishing out there. I was just trout fishing from the shore. I've never been in a boat at Jennings. I've always fished from the shore there.
Yeah, it's a cool lake. I mean, like, I even enjoy just going and seeing that caliber of fish, whether they bite my lure or not.
Yeah.
Like, watching them swim around with trout heads poking out of the side of their stomachs is pretty cool. Like you see all the little 2-pounders in the shallows, and they all have like a trout tail sticking out of their mouth, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
It's cool to see that. I like seeing
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
because they don't have much to eat in there. There's no shad or anything. It's just there's some
Oh,
bluegill, and
oh, no
then
kidding.
yeah, there's like a little bit of silver sides, but I saw some the other day, and they were literally like half an inch.
I didn't know that. I just assumed there was a bunch of shad in Jennings. Like,
Yeah, there used to be.
yeah. Yeah. It's kind of weird how we go through these shad years or whatever, and then all of a sudden the lake just doesn't have any shad anymore. There's like some big die-off or something. Like San Vicente. San Vicente has very little it has shad, but has very little shad.
Right.
Not very much.
Yeah. I wonder if it's like a
Morena lost all its shad.
yeah. Yeah,
I
I
don't
wonder if it's
understand
like a
that.
nutrient issue in the lake or something.
Yeah.
Because even like for the first time in 30 years, like Miramar got shad too, but it's only been in there like a year and a half, and you go try to find it now, and you look all day, and you see like very, very little, and
You
then
don't
you
think
go.
it's just like on the bottom,
I
and you
mean,
just can't see it.
like I talked to my buddies with scope and that scan the lake really, really well, and then like
Hmm.
from what I see on my 2D, it's like, but then you go to like Cap or Murray or something, and you see what's in there, and you're just like, all right, this is what a shad lake looks like, and then it kind of made sense to me, like watching the shad population at Miramar kind of disappear. It made sense, like why it didn't have shad for 30 years. It just, I don't think something
Yeah.
about the water. I just don't think it can reproduce in it or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I've been at Cap the last couple of days. I can't believe how much shad is in there.
Oh, it's
Like
incredible. Yeah.
it's like all the way across the north arm, and it's like most of the north arm, like all the way across in 30 feet of water. Like this is crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's how Murray feels when you're there. It feels like there's more shad than water some days.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I know
Yep.
like, I don't know, a handful of years ago, they started pumping in water from El Cap into Murray. So I think that helped the shad population somehow.
I'm sure it did.
Oh, yeah.
So El Cap is considered like the dirtiest lake by the Department of Water, the Public Utilities Department. They
Yeah.
don't like taking water out. They don't like using water out of El Cap straight away, like because they have to clean it,
Right,
and it
right.
takes so much money to clean it. So when they use it, so it would make sense that they pump it into Murray and let it settle out
Yeah.
and clean up before they use it.
Because Murray used to be one of those clear water lakes as well. And then when they started doing that water transfer from El Cap, then it got pretty dirty. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I was there yesterday, it was brown. Like there was maybe a foot visibility in the shallows.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was nasty. It was
Huh?
gross.
Huh? Yeah, that's interesting. It's like Hodges. Have you been up to Hodges yet this year?
I haven't. I haven't.
I haven't heard anything yet. I saw there was that Chris Brandt put out a video. He caught a couple of fish on the opening day.
Right.
Nothing special. He hooked a big one, but he thinks it was a catfish. Never
Yeah.
saw it.
Oh yeah, I saw that part. Yeah, he was fighting it.
Do you see? He was fishing a crankbait, and you could see he was like, and then it comes off the bottom, and it's like right in front of him, and the thing
Right.
eats it right in front of him, like,
Probably 12
whoa,
pounds.
yeah, yeah, that catfish, or if it was a catfish, thing came up and followed that crankbait and ate it right in front of his float tube.
Yeah, my buddy went in the afternoon. He had an 8 and a 6.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's good. I haven't
Yeah.
heard of any. Haven't heard any reports lately.
It was
Yeah.
a high 7, but it was like, I mean, it was a football. It was round. I mean, the fish I was catching there last year had sores and were super skinny and just looked really, really bad.
Huh.
So it was cool to see like my buddy's fish. I think just looked like a straight up football.
Wintertime fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super built, super short. It was like a 5-pounder that weighed 8,
Yeah, that's a Hodges fish. That's what I remember them.
Yep.
That's how I remember them. They
But
had kind of small heads.
small head, small mouth, but there's like
Ye-
very little shore to fish now. I mean, there's no cover on the shore anymore. Like there's still plenty
Mm,
shore to fish, but like
mm.
over like in the narrows, like I believe from what I was told, from the boat dock to the main point is 4 feet deep.
That's what I heard. I thought I heard it was back. It was 4 feet in the narrows, but no, that makes more sense because they said the water is as low as they've ever seen it.
Yeah, I've never seen it that low. It's kind of crazy.
So 4 feet deep all the way to the main point. Oh, man, lovely.
Yeah, because like like to the right of the boat dock right there's like a big flat,
Mhm.
that huge flat. So I think now that whole area is just a continued portion of that.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah, yeah. So until you get around the corner, there's no, there's nothing to fish.
Yeah, so now
It's-
everyone's just going to be piled up, on Del Dios and going towards the dam and
yeah, right.
but I heard it's been tough overall though.
It sounded like it last year was pretty tough.
February is always really tough there. I went with John Bell and Garrett one year, and we had, between the three of us, we had like one 10-inch bass,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
just decided to target carp for the rest of the day.
right. um, yeah, that's why I didn't go. I didn't
Yeah.
want to. I didn't want to go in there in February because I've always heard that. I've heard the same thing. Like it's a tough lake in February. In fact,
Yeah.
I probably won't even go until April
That's when
if I go at all.
I go when the shad starts spawning. It's weird. Like you go
Yeah,
post.
exactly.
It's weird when you go post spawn because they all seem like they're pre-spawning.
Yeah,
It's really weird because they're all fat and healthy and just
yeah,
gorgeous and shad,
yeah,
but they're
yeah.
already done like doing their thing. So it's kind of, that lake always tripped me out because I've never seen, even when the water's been clear there, I've never seen like a spawn fish.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just a trip. It's a mysterious place.
Mike Gilbert had those stories of when there was one year that it was clear, and he said it was fucking crazy. The fish that would follow the swim bait, halfway back to the boat and whatever, the sizes of them, like casitas back in the day.
Yeah, I've heard of like really good HUD bites there when the water's cleared as well.
Mm-hmm.
Really good.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be fun.
yeah. I didn't fish too many swim baits in there. I was always throwing worms and jigs. It's a really good worm lake. It's cool. And I always thought that was kind of cool that you could fish a worm in there and catch just as big a fish as in there. They eat the worms, like
Yeah.
a 10-pounder will eat a 7-inch worm when it feels like to get a 10-pounder to eat a 7-inch worm at any other lake, it doesn't really happen. Like you have to fish like a big bait or
Yeah,
a bigger bait.
my first time there when I was in 8th grade, my friend, well, we were in the same rental boat with his dad, and he caught a 10 on a 6-inch robo worm.
Yeah, yeah. Or like an Ica.
There.
Like 10-pounders eat Icas there. Like that's the thing.
Yeah, the brush hog there is that bait there is magic.
Oh my God. Isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember catching 6s and 7s there, not even taking pictures and just throwing them back, flipping brush hogs, just going down towards the dam and just flipping brush hogs into any patch of tulies. But if it had a little bit of wind on it, oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, they love the little brush hog there.
Yeah, that lake can be insane. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I miss it. I know a lot of us do. Oh man. So have you been up to Cuyamaca?
No, not yet.
Still early.
Yeah.
You guys fish it in the wintertime, though. People fish it in the wintertime, don't they?
I
For
think
bass?
so. I haven't. Every time I go up there in the winter, the wind is just so crazy.
Yeah. Is that so? You just wait until it gets warmer,
Yeah,
and
like
then it's just a lot better.
yeah, just like down here, I'll wait for it to get like 58 degrees water temp wise, and things start waking up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that lake is so shallow that like if there is a pre-spawn bite, sometimes it's like days long because it heats up so fast. Like it just takes a warm week for
Yeah.
it to get to like a spawn temperature, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Especially right now, the water's so low. I'm guessing the middle's probably like the deepest part's probably 8 feet.
I do. Now I remember that. There was a lot of 9 foot water
Yeah.
there. When I would go up there and maybe float tubing around or whatever, and I was like, everything's like 9 feet, like kind of trippy. Fucking paddling around on the float tube, and it's all 9 feet.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
struggling. It's struggling. The water's really low there.
Yeah. Which is kind of crazy because it was just so full. Like it
Right.
was like so far back behind that jetty
Yeah.
just 2 years ago.
Yeah. Hopefully it gets something because that lake can be really good.
It's coming tonight.
Right.
It's gonna rain 2 inches. It's gonna rain 2 inches down here.
That's awesome.
No telling how much is gonna rain up there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll get some water
Yeah.
tonight.
Because last year it was really low, and that was probably one of the worst seasons any of us had ever seen up there. It was bad.
Hmm.
There was very little fish caught.
Hmm.
But
So since that one's so shallow, do you fish it differently than the others? I mean, obviously there's not a spoon bite in 40 feet of water.
right, yeah, no. I just parallel the bank. That's it.
Fish a lot of frogs.
Frogs, yeah.
Come time.
Sometimes it looks a lot better than it is. Like you can go up there and like have a good day. Don't get me wrong, but it's not as good as like Otai or something with the frog.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I mean, it's small.
yeah, but you could hook a giant one there on it. That's for sure.
Right. Isn't that where Kevin got his 13 on a frog? Kevin
Yep.
Matson?
Yep. And then like a couple of years ago, he went up there in the middle of summer and he had like 2 8s, or maybe they were bigger than that, but both on the frog.
Yeah. Yeah, there's those great big flats there back behind the buoy.
Yeah, like grass grows back there and completely covers the entire cove, and you'll be like cruising through with the trolling motor and like looking between like the holes in the grass, you know, and you'll see like 8s like shoot down. You're like, oh god.
Like sea bass in the kelp.
Yeah, exactly. But they like the buzz bait and stuff in there, and wake baits over the top of the stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. Seems like it's a better lake once that happens, once there's grass and once it's like post spawn. Seems like it's easier to catch fish for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So what kind of swim bait are you using lately?
Lately, I've just been throwing the Huds and the Tyrants for the most part, and the Hog Hunters.
You put it out there. You showed a picture of it on your channel. Tell me about that Hog Hunter.
Yeah, the Hog Hunter is going to come out with a new 8.5-inch line through trout. Just a tad bit longer than a Hud, but it's skinnier. So it actually fishes like a 6-inch bait. Like once you have it tied on and you're throwing it, it's like it feels small, but it's
It
nice.
looked small.
Yeah.
Like when you held it up, it looked like a 68 or whatever. Like I was like, wow, that thing's. I got to get one of those.
Yeah.
Like, that looked. God, it looked so good.
Yeah, like I can't complain. Like second cast with it that I've ever made with the bait, I caught a fish on it, so I was pretty stoked.
Yeah, yeah. And so that hook is just a single hook. Obviously, is there like something that it snaps into, like a head case kind of thing?
Yeah, I don't know what he made it out of, but there's like a hard material inside, and there's a little slot that the hook sits in, and then there's a magnet.
Oh, okay.
So then it'll magnetize to it, and just you'll hear it click on there. And
yeah,
I haven't had it pop out or anything, but I was kind of worried because it sits down pretty low. I was like,
Yeah.
man, how are they gonna? But I think now I'm 2 for 2 on it, 2 for 3. So that's a pretty good
Really?
ratio. Yeah.
That's really good compared to the little under the chin treble hook.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Like with those floating baits with the little chin hooks.
Yeah.
It seemed like when the water was warmer and those fish were more fired up, they were just more so attacking it,
Yeah.
not really trying to eat it. Because then once the temps dropped, they were like eating it. Like in August, you would go 0 for 20 on a surface bait, but then in December, you would go 6 for 6.
Okay.
So it was just like on how they were eating it is what
Yeah.
I'm guessing. It was just completely different. Like you get a bite and they were on there. You're like, why didn't this happen months ago?
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of
Right.
weird.
It's kind of, I've seen the same thing with like A rigs in the fact that they just follow them. They don't eat it in the summertime. Like once
Right.
the spawn gets done and shad spawn and whatever, they're done with the A rig. Like they follow it and you watch them on the meter and they follow it all the way back to the boat, but they don't eat it. They don't commit to it until like the water starts dropping in temperature again. Once that happens, then all of a sudden you start cooking them again.
Right. Yeah. That's what it seems
So
like.
yeah, I mean it's in the same sense that they're swiping at that swim bait when the water's warmer instead of eating it.
Yeah. Like you would have like 4 or 5 fish fighting over it and you'd watch them inhale the whole thing, but they were just like spitting it out. And then like a couple months later, when they would do the same thing, they were like turning around and swimming off with it and holding on,
And it
just like,
would come out of their mouth, and you'd set the hook, and they'd come out of their mouth.
yeah, at first, when the
Yeah, you were
water
telling
was
me about
warmer,
that.
yeah, yeah. But then, like once it cooled down, when they would grab it, they would just hold on to it,
Yeah.
and that was that, and you would catch them.
Huh.
So at first, I was just like, man, this lure's broken, like. But it was really just how they were eating. They just weren't. They were just mad or something.
Yeah, and we're not talking about the Hog Hunter here.
Right.
We're
Yeah.
talking about the
Like
what's the name of it?
the Tyrants.
The Tyrant. That's it.
Tyrants, or even like the Nate's baits and stuff. There's any of those soft plastics.
Right. Yeah, I'm not saying anything bad about working class zero Tyrants.
No.
Obviously, it's a freaking crazy good
No,
bait.
it's the funnest bait that's out. That's for sure. It's the most
Yeah.
most exciting for sure.
So does he have a head case that floats? Does he have a floating rig for that Tyrant, or do you just have to make them yourself?
No, he sells it on the site.
He does.
You could buy like a little kit. Comes with like a floating piece that you slide in there, and then the hooks come with it. Some sinkers.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really versatile bait. Like you could, in a matter of like a couple seconds, just if they weren't biting it on the surface and you only had one bait, you could just switch it and be fishing on the bottom in less than a minute.
Yeah.
So it's nice. Yeah.
Have you been up to Skinner since it's closed?
I have a couple times. Yeah.
Are
Never
you just are they renting boats, or are they just?
They are. Yeah.
Okay, so you can still go fishing there.
Yeah, you can bring like a sit inside kayak. Just can't have any water contact.
Right.
And then the rental boats, but like even there, like the rental boat, just the standard or aluminum is 145 for the day.
145.
Yeah.
I hear what is Otai? I want to say Otai's 80. Maybe it's 100.
Yeah, the city lakes went up. I want to say they went up last year.
Wow, 145 a day.
Yeah.
No trolling motor.
No.
Just a gas engine.
Yeah. You could bring your trolling motor if you want, but
yeah,
still, it's like, man,
it's
like
so much money.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it would get you over to the spillway, or where the water comes in, the intake.
It might be worth it on a full moon in March, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta think that. I mean, 90% of those fish are just as comfortable as they've ever been in their whole lives.
How long is it closed for?
They said till August.
Whoa.
Right.
Oh, well, they are going to do some rental business. Yeah.
It's tempting, that is for sure. Because like normal years, they were getting 600-pound stocks when it was open for boating and all that. And then ever since they closed it, I don't know if they're trying to make up for closing the ramp, but this year they've been putting 1,500. So they went from 600 to 1,500, but the whole lake's closed. So those bass right now are just living the dream.
What? Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Boy, you heard it here. Lake Skinner is stocking 1,500 pounds of, was it twice a week? Twice a month?
Twice a month.
Once a month?
Twice.
Twice a month. Yeah. Every other week. 1,500 pounds.
Tempted to get a sit inside kayak, but it's a pretty big.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Those things are such a death trap. I'm just like, man, I'll be in a cove in the back of a lake with no service and flip that thing or something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what they require at Jennings too.
Yep.
Is a sit inside kayak where you can't. Yeah. Oh, yeah,
those
terrible. Is there any other rules at Jennings? Like, do you have to have your live wells? It's just clean and dry, right?
I mean, they
Before
don't
you launch a boat.
They don't. Once you buy your launch and all that, you don't ever talk to anyone after that. It's pretty mellow.
Oh, okay.
They're really nice over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Morena, they check the boat.
Right. And Cuyamaca.
Morena's kind of strict.
Yeah.
Like you gotta, it can't be raining or misting if you're going out there.
that was my first time to Paris. I went there and it misted on us on the way there, and they're like, "Your boat's wet." We're like, "Dude, it's misting on us as I'm talking to you." Like,
you're done.
The live well was dry. We dropped the motor. No water came out, and there's still nope. Wow. Like, we just drove from San Diego. And they're like, "Sorry,
don't matter."
Nope.
That's one of the reasons why I don't go up there.
Yeah.
Oh man, but Morena's that way. Now, so they're clean and dry. They just check you, and then they let you go. Sutherland is clean and dry. They check you. They check you at Sutherland. Good. Yeah. Those guys up there, they're cool.
Yeah, I like
he's the guy from Hodges. They moved him over to Sutherland.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a good guy. We all like him. So do you even fish HUDs anymore?
All the time.
Do you?
All the time. I always have one tied on.
Do you feel that they've lost? Well, obviously not. I mean, I was going to say they'd lose productivity, or do they not get as many bites as they used to? And has everybody just gone over to Hog Hunters? Like somebody was telling me that they're like, oh yeah, Hog Hunters, they get so many more bites than HUDs.
They do, and there's a time and a place. Like, I don't know, like this year the trout were so small that the DFG was bringing down that the HUD, to me anyways, like there was a couple big fish caught on bigger baits, but like numbers wise, I was getting so many more bites on the HUD, and I'll put them in the mag and other big baits in the same spots first, or while it was biting, and they would just nip at it, or just maybe like a little check bite, and then you'd put a HUD down there and they were just slamming it, like trying to choke the thing, so.
Now how big were the trout that they were stocking? Were they 6 inches? Were they 9?
I'd say 12? Like 7 to 12.
7 to 12 inches?
Yeah.
And that's pretty small.
Yeah, small. Like seeing an 8-inch trout swim by, it looks smaller,
Sure. Oh yeah. It looks tiny. I mean, and they're calling those catchables.
Right. Yeah, it's like a sardine.
Right. It is. It is like a sardine.
Sardine. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you use on a sport boat. How's your social media doing, Jay?
It's okay. I struggled in January, just not catching anything, but
Well, I mean, are you up on subscribers? Is your channel doing well?
it's doing, yeah. Yeah. Last couple videos have helped a lot. Just kind of like
Why?
explain things a little more in
Oh,
depth.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. People love it.
Yeah. People just want to learn, and like, at this point in my career, I don't mind sharing it.
It seems like, I mean, there's always going to be people that hold it close to their chest, hold everything that they do. They don't want to tell anybody anything. But it seems like there's been a lot more people with that frame of mind. Like, especially, okay, well, what comes to mind is Craig Taylor.
Hmm.
You've expressed this, and then Craig also has expressed this, and it's like um, they're a little more open
Yeah.
nowadays. 10, 15 years ago, you nobody would say anything about a HUD or a
Right.
hog hunter on a public forum,
Right.
which this is basically a public forum at this point.
Sure. Sure.
Um, they wouldn't even talk about it. Nobody talks about anything. Everything was kept secret, and it's just a little more open at this in this stage.
Yeah. And to be fair, like, 10, 15 years ago, there was just so many more big fish.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how I would be now if I was still catching a 10-pounder a week. I might be pretty quiet, but it's just
In your heyday, were you catching a 10-pounder a week?
I wasn't. I kind of caught the tail end of that,
Okay.
but like
Yeah.
I have buddies, like I have one buddy, my buddy Matt, he's got 30 plus double digits out of Murray. Just that one lake alone.
I'm talking to him tomorrow.
Yeah. So you can ask him about the heydays. He
Oh,
was
I'm going to.
because like, and also like getting baits around that time was really hard. Like even acquiring HUDs at that time was pretty hard. But then like when guys were getting the Hog Hunter, which used to be called the Baitsmith,
Right.
um, you know, dude, it took me 2 years to get my first Baitsmith back then because
Right.
no one, they're like, oh, this guy, he caught a 16. Oh, there is no way I'm giving him a Baitsmith, I don't know. Like those guys, like would just tell me that Baitsmith it was better than a live trout.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, just because like where you could put it, you could like,
Yeah, right.
yeah, you could just put it in the danger zone every single time, and those
Yeah.
fish just never seen it, and when they saw it, they would eat it.
God, what? So is it just because it swims differently? I mean, it doesn't look all that much different than a Huddleston. Obviously, it's got to be the swimming action of it.
I
Wait.
think because there's times where they like prefer like a boot tail versus like the wedge tails,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
like the HUD kind of has a really wide tail swim to it,
Yeah.
and like the Hog Hunters, it's just more tight and more subtle. And if you ever see trout go by, they kind of just their tail isn't going like wide,
Right.
they're just
Yeah.
kind of like,
Yeah.
so like that thing just looks like a little trout to them, just too perfectly. Plus the size is just a little bigger profile.
So I've got one of those 7-inch. I told you this. I got one of those 7-inch hog hunters.
Yeah.
What is it? The X7 or something. I started throwing that around, and it was coming through the water. I'm like, what the heck is this? What kind of piece of crap is this? Because the tail, because it was just like this chunk of plastic, and the tail's like not doing nothing. It's like coming through the water. It's like do 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 do. It's like what what the heck? And I bought another one, and they're
Yeah.
like $110 each.
Yeah, I don't know. Something about when that water gets cold, the more subtle your bait is. It
Yeah,
just
yeah.
it's
I
like
know. I know it's gonna work.
it's like the tyrant, like you're fishing like the surface one, like when
Mhm.
the water's, I want to say like above like 60 degrees or so. You're fishing that thing on the surface, and they're just like fighting over it, right? And then once the water gets cold, like they act terrified of it. And then you throw like the Hog Hunter or something that's just super subtle, and they're just smoking it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Things
Like
that we learn
might be the difference, like between like a curly tail worm or a straight tail worm.
Totally.
Just
totally.
Some days like the Hud, like I've caught giant ones on it in clear water with the Hud, but maybe the Hud works a little better in dirtier water. I don't know, but it definitely moves more water because of tail.
Yeah.
The Hog Hunter, the little head wobble the Hog Hunter has is, I don't know, they just like it. Yeah.
It's funny you bring up curly tail worms, because back in the 80s, that's all we fished was curly tail worms.
Yeah.
Like, nobody even fished a straight tail worm. That was weird. That
was
really weird. And then it was all straight tail worms, and I gave up on curly tail worms, up until the time up until about 2019. Like I didn't have a curly tail worm in the boat. Like I didn't. It was just like, oh, those unnatural looking stupid worms, curly tails, this and that.
Right.
And so then I went to Havasu, and I don't know if you know this, but like the river, like Mojave and Havasu, they eat curly tail worms like it's going out of style. And I didn't have any. And so my backseater he knew about it. He's the one who showed it to me. Yeah. He's like, oh, you don't have any of these, huh? Well, no, why would I have those? Dude, I get my ass kicked by a purple curly tail worm.
Oh my God.
You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it. Like they bite them. Like they bite them and eat them. They love them at the Havasu. Like you have to go. If you go to Havasu, you have to have a 5-inch curly tail purple worm in your box. Otherwise, you're gonna miss. You're missing biting fish.
Right.
Guaranteed.
Oh.
Guaranteed. I have like bags of 5-inch purple curly tail worms and some other colors too, just for Havasu. It's marked Havasu on there, so I don't leave home without them.
Oh, that's great.
Because you're not going to be able to buy them at that. There's only one tackle store there, and they're always sold out. You're not going to be able to buy them there.
Right. Oh,
you have to bring them. So yeah,
that's great.
It's so funny. Like I hadn't used a curly tail worm in freaking 10 years or whatever, and I went to Havasu the first time and just got my ass waxed, like by the guy in the back of the boat. Couldn't believe it. Texas rig, curly tail, fucking offset hook, 5-inch worm. Couldn't believe it. I'm like Nico rigging, like on 8-pound test. I'm shaking the worm, doing this. Dude, he's just like throwing it in there. Oh, I've got another one.
Oh, get the net.
Put my shit down. Yeah, that purple worm, man. Learned my lesson. I've caught a lot on a purple curly tail worm since then.
That's freaking hilarious.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, how does one find you on the internet? What's your I guess I could link it down in the description. Probably do that.
Okay. Yeah. Or my Instagram.
What is it? Jay Fishing with Jay or something?
Yeah, Fishing with Jay on YouTube.
And Instagram?
Fishing with Jay, yeah.
Okay.
And then JAY_SABERON on Instagram.
Okay. Cool. And you have, how many followers do you have now on Instagram?
10.6.
10.6 thousand. Nice. Good job.
Thanks, man. It's growing as long as I could catch some fish.
Soon coming.
Oh yeah.
Soon coming. Yeah.
Game over for sure.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks a lot for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce.
We'll see you next week.
All right.
Okay, take it easy.
All right, see ya.